Good morning, everybody. How's everybody doing today on this wonderful Wednesday morning? Happy hump day to everybody. Hope everybody's having a positive day and has had a wonderful start to a positive week. Hope everybody have a wonderful weekend as well. Just remember, man, always think positive, do positive, be positive, get positive results. Always try to stay positive. Life is short. So we need to try to enjoy our life, the most and the best we can to the fullest. So try to be positive, think positive, do positive, get positive results. That way, people that need some positivity in their life, they can actually, we can actually make their day. Excuse me. We can actually make their day with our positive vibes. They could be going through some things, and just us giving off positive vibes and just simply being polite and kind to people, man, it goes a long way. It really does. It goes a very long way. So yeah, man. So always try to keep your head high, and like I said, think positive, be positive, do positive, get positive results. Give all positive vibes to people that really need it, that we don't know that need it. Like I always say, people walk around all the time and smile, but we never know really what's deep. What's really deep down, what's really going on with them. They could have some stuff going on, and a positive comment, any type of positive energy, stuff like that can turn their day around, can turn their month around, could turn their year around. You never know. So let's always try to be kind, stay positive, do positive, be positive, keep our heads up, and try to spread positive all over the try to spread positive vibes and energy throughout the world and stuff around us, and the people around us and stuff like that. All right, so we're gonna get into it. So of course, as some of you know, that we've been working on Slushbox here, pulling the transmission down. We had a transmission failure back last month at the track, and of course, it caused the car not to move. Well, the differential spider gear pin, the roll pin that holds the spider gear pin, broke off. So it broke off, causing the spider gear pin to walk out of the differential housing and let one of the spider gears go, put a hole in the case, cracked one side of the case, cracked the inside portion of the bell housing. Did some pretty bad damage. So yeah, man. So basically, a lot of people have been waiting on this video, actually. A few people have been waiting on this video when I showed everybody the pictures. It was like, holy crap. So just wanted to kind of go through what happened and why it happened. All right, so let's get into it. All right, so as everybody know, that's Slushbox right there. And just to let y'all know, I only got one bar on my camera. So if it goes dead, I'll jump back on and do a part 2. All right, so that's Slushbox right there. We got the transmission out. We got the transmission out yesterday. And so this is, all right, so I'm going to come to this pile of metal real quick. So, by the way, so most of this is me actually having to, beat the rest of the case open that was already broke. And I had to break more of it open to actually get the axles out of the transmission. They were actually stuck in the transmission. So yeah, so this is mostly the metal that I had to basically take out of the bell housing to get to the differential, so I could get the axles out of the transmission that were wedged and stuck inside the training. So now we are going to run over here to the table. All right, so this is the driver's side axle, right? I'm trying to get a good light. All right, so as you can see, there is metal stuck to this shaft. This shaft is supposed to be clean and machined. This is the portion that rides inside of the bearing on the differential inside of the transmission. This is the reason why this axle was stuck. I had to actually, once I got the transmission broke apart enough to where I could get access to this axle, I had to beat this axle out. It was not a good day yesterday, to say the least. So I had to beat that axle out. So yeah, that was no good. So of course this axle is done. I'm not even going to try to reuse it, try to sand it down, nothing like that. It's just toast, man. It's messed up. So I'm just going to get another axle for it. I'm not even gonna try to save it. So, and if you can see, like, it looks like it's, got high spots, low spots in some places. So it's got to be 100% smooth. So, I'm just gonna, without a lathe, you're never gonna get this thing to be 100% smooth to where it slides up in that bearing brace like it's supposed to. So we're just gonna replace that axle. And now that's the driver's side axle. Now this is the passenger side axle here. So I had to take the whole entire assembly out. I had to take the intermediate shaft out with the axle stuck to it. I tried to beat this apart. This would not come apart. I'm just like, man, what is going on? So this is the other half of the differential that I had to cut out. I had to literally cut that out. There's the bearing race. I had to cut that loose. I had to bust that bearing up to get this race out of the case. Of course, I had to move that's the axle seal. I had to move that out the way. And, I had to cut this up just so I could get this daggone thing. I had to pry this out of the case. So I pried that out of the broken bell housing case. Finally got it out. I was beating on this so much, I started moving this bracket here. Started moving this bearing housing back and forth. Every time I beat on this, it would just drag the bearing back. So I couldn't get nothing apart. So hopefully I can try to save this axle. Hopefully I can try to save it, but if it's jarred up real bad, I'm just going to replace both axles. I'm definitely going to have to get another intermediate shaft. So I'm going to have to search for one of them. I think I got one in my stash, but I don't think I have a 24 spline intermediate shaft. So I don't think I only got 26s, so I have to see what I have. Now, getting to the root cause of what caused all this chaos. This is what caused everything, right? So this is the differential pin for the spider gears. All right, so these two spider gears, of course, like I've shown y'all before on the differential, these two are supposed to ride on this shaft, right? So these two gears spin the axle gears. The side gears. So what happened was there's a roll pin. See that roll pin right there? That roll pin broke. When these roll pins break, that little roll pin is the only thing holding this large pin to the differential. This is the only thing holding that roll pin right there is the only thing holding this large pin to the differential housing. That's it. Once that pin breaks, the large pin is coming out. Once the roll pin breaks off, the little baby roll pin that holds it in place, that pin is going to come out. Now, it's hard to really determine. Like, the transmission starts making noise, you already know you got something going on. So I would go ahead and pull it down. Don't even chance it. Don't even keep driving it. Pull it down and see what you got going on. 9 times out of 10, you got some wore out spider gears. You got some play in the differential housing. Potentially, you could have this pin can actually wallow the differential housing out and cause play and start to make noise. The crazy part is we never heard any noise with this transmission. Now, granted, that car does run an open downpipe, so it's hard. It's really, really hard to hear. It's hard. It would be hard to hear the transmission making a faint, like, little rattle noise. But Jasmine definitely said that when she was, going down the track the first time, she heard a weird noise and it stopped. Then, of course, when she made her last pass, as she got off the track, the transmission started making a loud noise. And then when she turned and come back up the return road, the car wouldn't move. So I immediately put the hood up and looked, and I could see the hole in the top side of the transmission. I said, "Yep, I know what happened." So yeah, man. So this, that differential pin is not supposed to be shaped like a 50 caliber bullet. That's supposed to be flat. That end is supposed to be flat. So that tells you right there, it broke, got wedged, and it started grinding against something in there, and it actually sharpened it down to like a bullet point. It looks like a 50 caliber bullet. And then, of course, it sheared it so bad. Actually, no. Then this side, it sheared this side pretty bad. But then this side right here just broke. It just broke it right off. It broke it off clean, like somebody cut it. And then it started shearing it here too. So, this is just wild. I've never, in all my years of messing with these transmissions, automatic and manual for the Escorts, man, this is the worst I've seen a pin failure. This is terrible. So yeah. So needless to say, we'll be definitely having to replace some parts. Definitely have to replace some parts. The bell housing is, of course, shot. Got to replace that. So we just got to go through and make sure nothing else was damaged, which I don't think it was. I just think mostly it's going to be our axles and, of course, the differential and the bell housing, and then we're changing the counter and the pinion gear anyway. So all right, so that's that. So this is why I tell everybody to always make sure you weld that differential pin on each side of that differential housing, because if you don't, and that diff pin breaks, it's coming out, and it's going to take out a lot of stuff, as you guys can see what all it has taken out. So that's why I always recommend people to weld this diff pin. Weld up this diff pin. The only reason why I did not weld up this diff pin because I was monitoring the transmission. I was checking it for metal on the differential side, and I didn't see any, so we rock with it. And it worked fine for 5 years. 5 years of no issues, man. No issues. No weird transmission noises, no nothing. And, last month, it broke traction twice, and I think that's probably what done it. And this thing has probably been, it's just far more wore out, man. This diff pin is just, as you can see, that roll pin, has been through hell and back, but, it just finally let go. And I always had in the back of my mind, I hope this thing holds up long enough for me to pull it down and put an LSD in if I can find an LSD. But, of course, we got busy and, my car went down, so I pulled the engine out of that. And then, I was focused on her car, getting the oil change and everything, and then it went down. So really didn't have time to sit down and see if I could actually get a differential, in this transmission. And I finally went through, called some places, and we found a solution, to this problem. So going back together, I definitely will be welding up this differential pin in that differential after I get that LSD conversion kit installed in it. So we won't be going unwelded pin no more. And look at this gear. It just chewed everything up, man. It just ate everything up, like bad. Really, really, really bad. So, but yeah, that's the cause of these two little gears and this little pin and this little roll pin is what caused all these problems. This what caused all this failure. So that's why I always tell everybody, weld your differential pins. If you got the transmission apart, you got the transmission out of the car, let's say you pull the engine out and you want to make a little bit of power with it. If you're not going to go LSD right away, at least take the time, pull the transmission down, weld the differential pin up, put it back together. Or, if you have the funds, if you have the money, if you have the time, man, go ahead and pull it down and put an LSD in it. In factory, and I believe Quaife makes an LSD for the manual transmissions, not the automatics. Anybody out there with an automatic that is looking to do any upgrades, make sure you contact Level 10. Level 10 transmission right there, and ask for Pat. Tell him I sent you, and he can hook you up with the parts you need. And then contact Traction Concepts for the LSD conversion kit. So you have some type of LSD in that transmission to help turn both axles. Nobody offers a full-blown LSD housing. Nobody offers the full-blown LSD unit for this particular 48T automatic transmission. So all right, so that's enough for that. Now let's go check out the transmission. We're gonna go look at this transmission and see how terrible it looks. After I had to beat it into submission to get it apart. So that is, as you can see, there's a differential that I had to cut in half. The differential's still in the transmission. I have not had a chance to pull this thing down yet. By the time I was done with all this yesterday, I was so tired. I was like, hell with this. We were like, screw it, we're done. So yeah, man. So yeah, that's where the bell housing was already cracked and broken. The hole, it was up here. That's the original hole that was in here, and then the rest of the bell housing was cracked. So in order for me to get the axles out, I had to beat this thing. I had to beat the rest of the case out and then cut the differential housing in half. And then as you see right there, there's a small indentation crack right there, where something tried to come through the bell housing on that side. So yeah, that's basically what we got right now with this transmission. This transmission lasted us 5 years. Can't be mad at it. and I needed to replace this this torque converter reactor plate here too, because I had a broken piece on the side that I JV weld, and I sealed it up, and it held. But I just, you know, now that we got to change the bell housing, I'm able to change that over too, because we got spare ones. But yep. So that's what the tranny looks like now. That's what I had to go through to get the axles out of this transmission. So yeah, man, we had a hell of a time yesterday. So now the game plan is we got to pull this bell housing off. Of course, this gear set's got to come out. This is that Kia. That's the Kia Rio transmission. Now the Kia Rio transmission, first generation Kia Rio transmission, 2001 through 2005, is the same. This transmission is called a 4AEL, which is the same transmission as a 4EAT. The 4AEL is just like a Mazda version, as they say. So this transmission will work. This transmission will work out. Just make sure your pinout and your you know, your gear selector and your wiring, all that stuff. Make sure you may have to change that stuff over, because of course it's a little bit different electrical system on this transmission than it is the 4AT from the BG chassis, which is a Mazda Protege and a 90 through 94 Mazda Protege and a 91 through 96 Ford Escort GT. So make sure you go through, and because it's got like a crank sensor there. It's got a little bit of different stuff, but as far as bolting up, the transmission will bolt right up. I mean, it's pretty much the same transmission there. But this transmission, the Kia Rio transmission, has a 379 final drive, and this transmission that comes out of the 90 through 94 Mazda Protege, 91 through 96, 91 through 96 Ford Escort GT, comes with a 374. So we're going to pull this one apart, put the 379 in here and replace the 374 with the 379. Then we got this transmission over here, that this bell housing is going on that transmission, Jasmine's transmission. So that's a good bell. So we're going to use this bell housing. I'm not going to use this gear set because that's a 374 gear set too. So basically I got to take 3 transmissions to make one. But that's okay. I'm glad that I have the parts here to do this with. So I'm so glad and so thankful that people hate these automatics so much that they just give them away, and we use them, and they're great transmissions. To be honest with you, man, like, you know, this thing fought a hard fight. I mean, 5 whole years of an open differential, making 235 wheel horsepower and running 1280s. And the car never broke traction hardly. If it did, the track was crap. But 90% of our passes, the car has hooked up strong and just taken off. And you got to figure, a car that hooks up and works all the time is going to definitely be hard on your drivetrain parts for sure. Definitely going to be hard on your drivetrain parts. And like I tell people, try not to put any shock load on your drivetrain. Shock load is what kills your drivetrain, automatic or manual. That's what kills your drivetrain. The cool thing about the automatic is you can preload the automatic by pressing the brake and then mashing the gas pedal and holding the car still. And that's what Jasmine does on every pass. She's got a 2-step to hold her at 3,000 RPMs. That way, she don't have to that way she don't have to wait for the power to come in. She's already in power when she leaves, and it's already preloaded the transmission. The transmission gears are already preloaded. Everything is tight. There is no shock load, none of that. Because you got a little bit of play between your gears. So when you dump the clutch, you're slamming those gears together. When you drop the clutch, man, listen. You got a little bit of play there. See that? You got play there. So every time you drop the clutch, you slam these gears together. When you slam these gears together, eventually what's going to happen is you're going to break those gears off. Then when you break those gears off, when you finally shear these 2 spider gears here, these side axle gears ain't got nothing to grab. So that's it. And then the car won't move. You're gonna have 5 neutrals, or 4 neutrals, however many gears your car has. And I've mentioned this before, but this is the little roll pin that holds this big roll pin right here in place. Right, that's what holds it in place. I always weld this side and this side, especially on cars that we race. I weld both of those up. That way, this pin cannot come out. Even if that pin does break, go bad, whatever, this pin stays in place, and your differential stays in place, and it won't come apart, tear your case up, and do damage like this one did here. So all right. So I just basically wanted to jump on and let you guys know the update of what we had going on. So once I get that transmission apart, get the gear set out of it, I will be installing. Hold on, let me get it out. Yeah, I will be installing the Traction Concepts LSD differential kit that I got from Traction Concepts. Really great people. If you have a 4AT or a 4A or a 4 AEL transmission, and you want, and if it's a 24 spline, if it's a 24 spline diff, and you want some type of LSD for it, Traction Concepts is the way to go. If you need help setting it up, let me know. I'll help you set it up. But give them a call. Let them know I sent you, Corin from EOTT Racing Team, and they'll hook you up. All right, everybody, that's going to conclude this video. I don't think I left anything out. Yeah, so I gotta pull that tranny apart, this tranny apart, and this tranny is already apart. So that's 3 transmissions I had to take to make one. So it's okay. Sometimes we've had to do that. You know what I mean? We want to try to get 2 more passes in before the season's out. So hell, I was like, shit, here's a chance. Let's go ahead and get the car in the shop. Let's pull it down, pull the transmission out, and get it cracking. And that's where we're at now. So I just wanted to make this video real quick to let you guys and show you guys what was going on. So if anybody has any questions, feel free to message me on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, and I'll be glad to answer any questions that anybody has for me about this particular project here, or about a 4EAT transmission or a 4AEL transmission. So just remember, first generation Kia Sophia, 2000 to 2005, which is that transmission over there, is the is the same as a 90 through 94 Mazda Protege and a 91 through 96 Ford Escort GT. All right, everybody. Well, that's going to conclude this video. Like I said, if anybody's got any questions, please feel free to message me, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, and I will be glad to answer any questions that anybody has, like I said, about this particular project that I'm working on here on any of these transmissions. All right, well, I'm going to hop off here and get to work. Got a little bit of work to do. So I will catch you guys on the next video. Hope everybody has a wonderful rest of their week and a super blessed day. Peace out.